Hello students, how are you all? Hope you all are fine and liking my videos. Today we will start chapter 9 of civics, that is urban livelihood. This chapter is the last chapter of civics. What we are going to study in this chapter? We are going to study about the people who are working on the street and about the people like Bachchu Manji, who is a rickshaw puller. Now, what is going in the market? We will study this also. Then about the business persons, the factory persons, and the people working in the office area. And at last, we will bind our chapter with NCRT solution. That do share this video with all your friends and subscribe my channel, and don't forget to hit the bell button so that you can get the further notification. So coming to the chapter urban livelihood. Today in this chapter we will have a broad understanding between history, geography, civics and economics. Because this chapter is not an exclusive chapter. You can't read this chapter exclusively in the civics. So as we read in the history, we talked about agricultural revolution. Later on, this agricultural revolution move on to industrial revolution. When we talk about the geographical and civics, we talk about various sector of economic, the primary, secondary and tertiary sectors. And finally, under the civics, we would understand how these two help in the real existence of urban livelihood. So when there was phase of agricultural revolution, you have lot of things coming under agriculture input. Later on, you had industrial revolution that started. So you have a kind of mass movement of people from field of agriculture to the industries. Similarly, when we talk about the primary activities, we are concerned with agriculture and allied activities. When we talk about secondary activities, we focus on manufacturing activities, and finally tertiary activities. We talk about service sector, the services that are provided. Now the major difference between rural livelihood and the urban livelihood lies in the type of economic activity. So rural livelihood, as we talked about in the previous class, is predominantly primary activity. Now whenever urban livelihood, however, the urban livelihood revolve around the secondary and tertiary activities, that is the manufacturing and service classes. Now when we talk about these in the political science or civics, what we are trying to understand? We are trying to understand how factory work, why factory are essential, how service go across, why are service important. Now all these go under certain rules and regulations. Let's say there is a factory, there are certain labor rules that are associated to the factory. Those labor laws help us to understand what are the rights of laborers in the factory floor. Then you have various trade unions. The laborer themselves can form the trade union and fight for their own right. So all this come under civics, and that is what we are trying to understand in urban livelihood. In terms of political science, so that was the basic idea why we are taking this topic under political science or civics. Now basic concept is that there are more than 5,000 towns in 27 big cities in India. Big cities like Chennai, Mumbai, Delhi, Kolkata, etc. have more than 1 million people living and working here. They say that the cities never sleep. That means economic activities that go on in cities are much more faster and much more continuous compared to the rural areas. So let's say you have a milk supply that is occurring. So the milk supply would be coming from the rural area, reaching to the city early in the midnight, or let's say 2 o'clock in the morning. It would be supplied to each and every house by 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock in the morning, and finally the chain goes on. So it's night or the day. Throughout the 24 hours, you have the city that is working. Some or the other activities that is associated with the city live. So you have nearly 1 crore street vendors in India, like vegetable vendors, flower vendors, newspaper seller. Like Bachu Manji, a large number of people in the city work on the street. Work on their own. They are not employed by anyone and therefore have to organize their own work. Their shops are usually temporary structure. They can ask to dismantle their shops at any time by the policemen. Workers who make a living in the city are forced to set up their homes on the street as well. Below is a space where several workers leaves their belonging during the day and cook their meals at night. Vendors sell their things that are often prepared at home by their families who purchase, clean, short and make them ready to sell. Now, previously there was a clause that street vendors should be banned in India. However, later on it was realized that with such a huge population of street vendors, if they are banned, how will the economy survive? So there was demarcated zone where the street vendors could come and hawkers could have their hawking zones. In these zones, they could establish their own area and they could sell their products and become the part of the economic system. Now there are various kind of jobs in cities. So there is a kind of a rickshaw puller who is coming from the rural area. Why he migrated from the rural area is another important question. When we talked about rural livelihood, we understood that in the rural area, it predominantly seasonal employment that is seen. So during the time you are sowing the seed, you are weeding, you are harvesting, you have the labor that are involved. But what happened during the other period or this other season? The other season are the kind of empty season or the blank season for them. So what they do not find suitable jobs in the rural area, and as a result they tend to migrate to the urban area. So let's say during those 6 months they come to the urban area, and let's suppose that the person A is working as a rickshaw puller. He could take some loan from bank or the other financial institution. Based on that, he would get a rickshaw that he would have. He would earn daily livelihood based on that rickshaw. So let's say 80 rupees or 100 rupees a day would be the kind of earning that he would get. Similarly happens with the street vendors. They would come and have something in the hawking zone that are created. So you have nearly 12% of workers that work on the street. So they work either for the self-employment job, they bring something from the village and create something in self, or they work for the repair job. They have similar zones which are known as labor chalks. At these labor chalks, daily wage workers wait with their tools for the people to come and take them for the work. They wait for contractor to hire them. All these are the kind of activities the urban landscape has to have in order to survive, or to have a population from rural livelihood which are migrating seasonally to the urban area for the jobs during the periods. So during the lean season in the rural area, they will come on to the urban area to find the jobs and they would have the job. So this was a kind of a seasonal, contractual or a temporary job. There is no job security with such jobs. There is no kind of a fixed wages. There is no medical benefits. However, on the other hand, you have jobs which are in the service sector. So these jobs are, let's say, qualified jobs, the doctor, the lawyers, the engineer, the professionals. So all these jobs would be a kind of a permanent jobs. These permanent jobs would have a fixed salary. The people withdraw. Once they have a fixed salary, they are withdrawing. They have a certain incentives. These incentives can be in the form of a saving for the old age, the pensions, the PF accounts, the associated benefits and the medical benefits. So these are the two types of workforce that primarily work in the urban area. The one is the temporary contract employment. The other is the permanent employees. Now the government is more and more focusing on the contract and the temporary employees, and working forward with the concept of social security, that is providing a minimum level of security for them to sustain. So this social security concept has recently gained a huge movement in India and become a part of a social science or the political science. Completed the explanation part of the chapter. In the further video, we will explain the NCERT solution. Before that, don't forget to subscribe my channel. Thank you. Have a nice day.